Hey guys, Justin Ochoa back again with another episode of the Basketball Breakdown. Today we have a great clip from Boston Celtics Jaylen Brown, and we're looking at really two qualities that all basketball players should be trying to enhance. So check out today's video, let us know what you think. Hey guys, today we got a great play by Jaylen Brown that we're going to look at and really focus in on two separate things. They go hand in hand, but these are two skills or attributes that I think all basketball players can enhance. So let's watch it real time. Pay attention to Jaylen Brown as he scores, and then we'll talk about it.
Such a screen. Jaylen Brown so deep in his bag, yes, like the fries are at the bottom. Wow! Now that was...
That's an all-time great call, by the way. So deep in his bag, like the fries were at the bottom. That's a mood. All right, so we're going to look at this. Jaylen Brown with the ball. He's sizing up his defender. First thing we see is something we've talked about. We talked about this in episode 1. And I'm going to zoom in here so everybody can see. We're looking at right leg deceleration step. So he stops his forward progress. Left leg internal hip rotation. So this is going to create his ability to do a reverse between the leg snatch. So he's going to stop. Boom. Ball goes between the legs. And then you see that that hip externally rotate. So we talked about that. That's a great way to get into a move. But what he does from here is extremely just awesome. So most of the time, if you get this action here, you're going to get into a step back. That right foot is going to press into the ground, and then you can either do a gather, like a little float step, or you could just step right back from where your foot is. Most people are going to do that. He gets into this position where he shifts his hips back to neutral right here. Okay? So now his hips are neutral. But the special thing is that both feet are off the ground. So now he's completely square to the basket. And if I'm a defender at first, when I see that between the leg snatch, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to go into a step back. Then if I see this as a defender, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to do a foot replacement and then pull up for a jumper. But he does neither. He gets into this. So now he's turned into a sprinter. He's went from right leg planted. It's not a step back. Okay, maybe it's going to be a foot replace and then a jumper. Nope, that's not either. That's not it either. Excuse me. He drops his right leg. And so, now we're looking at something, whether you call it a plyo step or a false step or whatever. It doesn't matter what you call it. The idea here is that you are stepping backwards to go forward, which is a very common thing, and it's an essential and powerful movement that all athletes do. So now his right foot, which was just planted in front of him, is now planted behind him. So it's an amazing amount of load on that right foot, but he's capable of it based on, his structures and capacity that he has in place. But the really special thing is now, in this position, he is obviously setting himself up to go forward. Everything you see looks like he's about to, like he's mid-sprint, or he might be accelerating or something like that. And all of this happened in the same vicinity because of how he planted his foot and then shifted his hips and then got into this position. But a lot of people might ask about the risk of Achilles tendon in this position. So obviously you got any type of, pushing movement involves calf, Achilles, just lower extremity structures. So why I believe this is not too much of a risk to his Achilles tendon, if any risk at all, is the way he's loaded. So if you look at any, I don't want to say any, if you look at most Achilles tears, I went back, I looked at KD, I looked at Kobe, I looked at probably 5 Achilles tears of like high-level NBA players in the last 10 years, and all of them, when they tore it, were not in this position. So what I mean by that is, if you can see, his knee is bent. Jaylen Brown has a bend in the knee, which means he's not fully loading his calf. So if his calf is not fully stretched, then neither is his Achilles tendon. So that's my logic. He doesn't have a ton of undue stress on his Achilles tendon because he doesn't have any undue stress on his calf. And he has the ankle strength and mobility and all that to get in this position. But in most cases, when you step back like this, if your knee is extended when your foot hits the ground, then you might have some Achilles issues to worry about. But his knee is bent, which means he's still loading, I guess the word is, which means he's loaded in his quad and muscles above the knee, and then he explodes out. So you can see it right there. Okay, so here is when his foot hit the ground, knee bent. Then he pushes, knees extend as his left foot cycles back. See that? So let's run it back one more time. So you're going to look at this knee is going to push forward as the left leg cycles backward, which is basically sprinting. I mean, take the basketball out of his hand and he's accelerating on a track. So that's why I don't feel that there's any risk associated with this movement, because he's doing everything right. He's pushing back, knees bent. Now he triple extends just for a brief moment right here. Boom, pushes right there. And then as he pushes, that leg cycles back. So he's going backwards to move forward, which some people call a false step. But if you cover ground, then it's not. So obviously that worked for him. So now the other really cool thing, and we'll talk about plyo steps when I break it down after this. The other really cool thing is this. So we already covered how he got to this position. But now we're looking at the importance of curved running. So his left foot is outside of his frame because he has to avoid this defender. Now, he knows that he has to turn a sharp corner here to be able to make the fastest play at the basket possible. Because 22, his defender, is going to change directions and try to use angles to cut him off. But so what he does is he takes his left step here. His right step is way outside of his body. And then his next left is way inside. See that? So there's no way he can get cut off because he basically ran on a curve. So instead of going, continuing to go to the left, his right foot's here. Now he swings the left back to get himself back square and under himself, and then he finishes. I want to see a dunk there, but that's beside the point. But let's look at this. So the really cool thing is right here. Boom, right here he kind of looks like the NBA logo. That's cool. Then here, both of his legs are outside of his frame, which would mean, like, technically, I guess you could say that he's off balance, but he has enough strength to come back under himself. See that? He's outside himself there. Then he has the strength, mobility, come back under himself, nice and composed. So in 1, 2 steps, I guess 3 really. So 1 step outside, step 2 outside, step 3 back inside. He's learned how to curved sprint to be able to get to the basket the most efficiently.
So thanks for checking out today's breakdown. And again, today we're looking at 2 major qualities, one being single leg strength, second being able to curved run or run on some kind of non-linear pattern. Okay, so when we look at single leg strength and we look at what we do in the weight room, I think this has an amazing transfer over to basketball because of the amount of single leg movements that we see, whether it be cutting, changing directions, planting your foot to get into a move, anything like that is considered single leg strength. So in the weight room, obviously you have your bilateral movements like goblet squats, front squats, things like that. Those are obviously essential for progressing to other variations or even into Olympic lifting variations, things like that. But we also want to focus a ton on single leg strength. So what that looks like for us here at Pace, we do a ton of goblet split squats. We do a ton of Hatfield split squats, a lot of rear foot elevated split squat variations to really get the most out of our loading in this single leg stance or any kind of unilateral movement. In terms of the other thing we're talking about today, which is nonlinear running or curved or arc sprinting, this is something that you can actually practice, whether it be on a court or in a field or just in the weight room if you have enough space. You're literally going to run on a curve. So if you're on a basketball court, you can start in one corner and you can run all the way around the three-point line as fast as you can across that arc to the other corner. So that's going to help you kind of create the lean that you need. Another easy example, every basketball court has pretty much multiple circles on it, whether it be at half court, the circles in the foul lane, whatever it may be. You can run a direct circle around those, obviously going both directions to equally load both sides. But those are 2 easy examples of things you can do to get better at the skill of curved running. And then obviously some of your single leg strength that we talked about previously can also carry into that and help you get the most out of your sprints in general. So that's today's breakdown. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys are really liking this series. If you have clips that you want to see, if you have ideas or concepts that you want to see us talk about, shoot me a DM or comment, and I'll try to get them in the mix for you coming up soon. Thanks.